listening or watching Radio Afinju. The time is 6 p.m.
Ẹ bá mi pè é o. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfínjú. Lórí WhatsApp. Àfínjú. Instagram. Àfínjú. Facebook. Àfínjú. Lórí X. Àfínjú. Lórí YouTube. Àfínjú. Lórí TikTok. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Ẹ bá mi pè é o. Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ 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 Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú.
This is the world news on Radio Afinju.
First, a look at the highlights. Tinubu congratulates former Vice President Sambo at 71. NIS urges Nigerians to adhere to U.S. visas regulations. U.S. Appeals Court blocks Los Angeles federal immigration arrests. Good evening and welcome to the World News on Radio Afinju. My name is Pearl Durotoye. The news in detail. President Bola Tinubu felicitates with former Vice President Namadi Sambo on his 71st birthday. Tinubu, in a statement from his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Ononuga, described Sambo as a man of integrity and loyalty who is deeply committed to the nation's unity and stability. Sambo, who was the governor of Kaduna State from 2007 to 2010, was born on August 2, 1954 and served as the Vice President of Nigeria from May 19, 2010 to May 29, 2015. As a prominent leader of the People's Democratic Party, Sambo worked closely with President Jonathan, serving with dedication and maintaining a relationship of mutual respect in and out of office. Following concerns raised by the U.S. government over the misuse of visas by some Nigerian citizens, the Nigerian Immigration Service has warned the Nigerians to use their U.S. visas responsibly and in strict compliance with the stated purpose of their application. The service public relations officer, Akishola Akinlabi, in a statement issued in Abuja, gave the warning to Nigerians holding U.S. visas, saying the United States remains committed to maintaining a secure and transparent visa process and expects all visa holders to comply fully with its immigration regulations. He also advised Nigerian students in the United States to remain in active study programs and refrain from unauthorized withdrawal or absence, noting that such actions could result in visa cancellation and the loss of future eligibility for U.S. travel. The NIS further warned that the U.S. consular officers reserve the right to deny tourist visas to applicants suspected of intending to travel to give birth in the bid to secure U.S. citizenship for their children. In what was described as misleading assertions, the Edo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has criticized Governor Monday Okpebolo's claim of initiating the ongoing reconstruction of the Benin-Asaba Expressway. According to a statement issued by the Publicity Secretary of the party's caretaker committee, Chris Nehikare, the PDP specifically faulted a recent statement by the governor's chief press secretary, Fred Itua, which credited the project to President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, dismissing the credit as political propaganda and a deliberate misrepresentation of the facts. According to Nehikare, the expressway project was conceived and finalized under the former governor Godwin Obaseki's administration through a structured public-private partnership framework. He insisted that the APC federal government played no role in the planning or initiation of the project, alleging that execution was deliberately delayed until after the Edo 2024 elections. In continuation of the ongoing efforts to end insurgency activities in the country, the troops of 63 Brigade Sector 1 Joint Task Force South-South Operation Delta Safe of the Nigerian Army have conducted series raids on the hideouts of the suspected members of the indigenous people of Biafra Eastern Security Network in Delta State. This is contained in a statement made available to newsmen in Abuja by the Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations, 63 Brigade Asaba, Iliyasu Rijal. According to the statement, the troops arrested 13 members of the outlawed terrorist fighters and recovered assorted arms and ammunition of various calibers during the operations, which was intelligence-based between July 26 and August 1st. The statement explained that the arrested suspects were handed over to the 63 Military Intelligence Regiment for further action. In a bid to halt an arranged attempt by suspected armed Fulani headsmen to wipe out their people, the Bandawa community in Karim Lamido Local Government Council of Taraba State has issued a passionate appeal to Governor Agbu Kefas calling for urgent government intervention. In a petition jointly signed by the National President of the Bandawa Community Development Association, Matthias Bandawa, and the Youth Wing President, Ishaya Bandawa, made available to newsmen, the community painted an ugly picture of escalating violence, land invasion, and targeted killings, which, according to them, have left several people dead and others displaced. The duo records a series of violent incidents allegedly executed by armed herdsmen in the community, including the destruction of farmlands, open grazing on cultivated lands, and fatal attacks on community members. The community called on the state government and security agencies to arrest and investigate those allegedly behind the incitement and attacks, and to deploy more security personnel with sustained surveillance in the area. They warned that silence in the face of persistent violence could lead to further loss of lives and the destruction of their homeland. In what marks a shift from the usual demands for cash or livestock, notorious bandit leader identified as Sunny Black has reportedly demanded 150 kilograms of pure gold from 4 communities in Zermi local government area of Zamfara state as a protection levy. A youth leader who spoke anonymously for security reasons said the demand likely stems from the belief that many locals are engaged in mining, giving the bandits the impression that several of them have access to gold. Another resident added that the terrorists are asking for gold, which they believe can be provided as they know the people no longer have money or animals to give them. Residents in the affected communities, Dada, Gidan, Shaho, Mamoro and Rimne are reportedly discussing how to either gather the gold or negotiate a reduction in the quantity demanded. On the foreign scene, Malian former Prime Minister Moussa Mara has been detained and charged by a Malian court over a social media post criticizing the shrinking democratic space under military rule in the West African nation. This was revealed by Mara's lawyer, Mutanga Tol, in a post on X, saying Mara was summoned by a judicial cybercrime unit and a prosecutor charged him with offences including undermining the credibility of the state and spreading false information. Mara is one of the few public figures in the country who has been willing to openly question moves taken this year to dissolve political parties and grants the military government led by Assimi Goita a 5-year mandate without elections. Last month, authorities formally approved Goita's 5-year term and said it could be renewed as many times as necessary as Mali struggles to respond to a long-running jihadist insurgency. Toll said Mara had been summoned several times for questioning this month over a social media post dated July 4th, expressing solidarity with government critics who have been jailed, and he was barred from boarding a flight to Senegal to participate in a regional conference on peace and security, which his trial has been scheduled for September 29th. In Europe, oil facilities inside Russia, including a major refinery as well as a military airfield for drones and an electronics factory, was struck by Ukraine's military. Ukraine's Unmanned Systems Forces, USF, in a statement on Telegram said they had hit the oil refinery in Ryazan, about 180 kilometers southeast of Moscow, causing a fire on its premises. The USF said it also hit the oil storage facility in the Voronezh region that borders on northeastern Ukraine. Separately, the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU intelligence agency, said its drones had hit Russia's military airfield, which has been used to launch waves of long-range drones at targets in Ukraine, and a factory in Penza that it said supplies Russia's military-industrial complex with electronics. Although there was no immediate comment from Russia on the reported attacks on its infrastructure sites, Russia's defense ministry said in its daily report that its defense units had downed a total of 338 Ukrainian drones overnight. In the Americas, a federal appeals court has affirmed the lower court's decision temporarily barring U.S. government agents from making immigration-related arrests in Los Angeles without probable cause, thereby rejecting the Trump administration's request to pause the lower court's order. The 3-judge appeals panel ruled that the plaintiffs would likely be able to prove that federal agents had carried out arrests based on people's appearance, language, and where they lived or worked. President Donald Trump called National Guard troops and U.S. Marines into Los Angeles in June in response to protests against the immigration raids, marking an extraordinary use of military force to support civilian police operations within the United States. The city of Los Angeles and other Southern Californian cities joined a lawsuit filed in June by the American Civil Liberties Union, accusing federal agents of using unlawful police tactics such as racial profiling to meet immigration arrest quotas set by the administration. The judges of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, largely in their unsigned decision, rejected the administration's appeal of the temporary restraining order. In the Middle East, after a forward penetration attempt through Jordan's border with Syria yesterday, Jordan's armed forces have revealed that its forces killed 2 armed people. The Jordanian armed forces did not provide further details in a statement released in the early morning, but said that the rest of the armed group were pushed back to the Syrian territory. Jordan's armed forces often report foiling border infiltration attempts, sometimes for drug smuggling. Jordan and Syria had in January agreed to form a joint security committee to secure their border, combat arms and drug smuggling, and work to prevent the resurgence of Islamic State militants. Now talking sports. Newcastle has made a formal bid of €75 million plus €5 million in add-ons for RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Sesko, a fee which matches Leipzig's valuation. The bid comes with Newcastle braced for a second offer from Liverpool for Alexander Isak. It was gathered that Sesko will be absent from RB Leipzig's pre-season friendly with Atalanta due to his imminent departure from the club, as the striker has reportedly told his teammates that he will be leaving. Newcastle has presented their vision to the Slovenian striker and wants the deal to happen. However, Sesko is considering his options with Manchester United also at the table and is open to both projects. Still talking sports, after 10 years at Tottenham Hotspur, the club's captain, Son Heung-min, has announced that he would be leaving the club this summer. The South Korea international, who joined Spurs from Bayer Leverkusen in 2015, announced his decision in a press conference ahead of Spurs' pre-season friendly against Newcastle in South Korea on Sunday, which could be his final game for the club. He was captain when Tottenham beat Manchester United in the Europa League final in May to clinch their first trophy in 17 years. Son described the decision as the most difficult one in his career as he spoke to media alongside a new manager, Thomas Frank.
I came to North London as a kid to London who even didn't speak English, and leaving this club as a grown man is a very, very proud moment. So I just want to say thank you all of the Spurs fans that gave me so much love and felt like it was my home. So, but yeah, it was one of the toughest decisions I ever made. So yeah, I hope the goodbye is always also in a good timing, So, but I think it's the right time to make this decision. So I hope that everybody understand that my decision, and hope that everybody respect that.
The 33-year-old, who is under contract with Spurs until 2026, is in advanced negotiations with Major League Soccer side Los Angeles FC. Before we go, here again are the highlights. President Bola Tinubu has felicitated with former Vice President Namadi Sambo at 71, describing him as a man of integrity and loyalty who is deeply committed to Nigeria's unity and stability. The Nigeria Immigration Service has warned Nigerians to use their U.S. visas responsibly and in strict compliance with the stated purpose of the application, following concerns raised by the U.S. government over the misuse of visas by some Nigerian citizens. And on the foreign scene, we brought to you that a federal appeal